Hello YouTube, this is Said Mirza. This video is based on key ideas from the excellent work by Sam Garen's titled The Quran, A Complete Revelation, and from my upcoming book, Means of Insight, Theology of the Quran. All translations are from the Quran, A Complete Revelation. You can also download my book, Will You Not Reason? A Concordance of God's Arguments in the Quran, in which I list proofs from the Quran regarding God's existence and explore the fundamental problems with the religion of Islam in light of the Quran. I have provided a link for Sam's free book and mine below. The Ruh, which is also referred to as the Spirit, is mentioned in the Quran, but we are given scant knowledge about this being in the Quran. The Ruh, which is also referred to as Jibreel, was breathed into Adam and is also breathed in every man at birth. It is by virtue of Ruh that man occupies a station above the angels. It is by means of Ruh that man has been given knowledge of God. The last prophet Muhammad was inspired the Quran by the Ruh. Isa was strengthened by it. And we gave Musa the law and sent the messengers after him, and we gave Isa, son of Maryam, clear evidence, and strengthened him with the spirit of holiness. Is it not that whenever there came to you a messenger with what your souls desired not, you were proud, and some you rejected, and some you killed? Chapter 2, verse 87. Those are the messengers. We gave preference to some over others. Among them are those with whom God spoke, and He raised some among them in degree. And we gave Isa, son of Maryam, clear evidence, and strengthened him with the spirit of holiness. And had God willed, they would not have fought one another, those who came after them, after clear evidence had come to them. But they differed. Some of them believed, and some denied. And had God willed, they would not have fought one another. But God does what He intends. Chapter 2, verse 253. O doctors of the law, exceed not bounds in your doctrine, nor ascribe to God save the truth. The anointed one Isa, son of Maryam, was but the messenger of God, and his word which he conveyed to Maryam, and a spirit from him. So believe in God and his messengers, and say not, 3. Desist, it is best for you. God is but one God. Glory be unto him that he should have a son. To him belongs what is in the heavens and what is in the earth, and God is sufficient as guardian. Chapter 4, verse 171. When God will say, O Isa, son of Maryam, remember thou my favor to thee and to thy mother, when I strengthened thee with the spirit of holiness, thou speaking to men in the cradle and in maturity, and when I taught thee the law and the wisdom, and the Torah and the gospel, and when thou didst fashion of clay the likeness of a bird by my leave, and didst blow into it, and it became a bird by my leave, and thou didst heal the blind and the leper by my leave, and when thou didst bring forth the dead by my leave, and when I restrained the children of Israel from thee, when thou camest to them with clear evidence. Then those who were indifferent to warning among them said, This is only obvious sorcery. Chapter 5, verse 110. It was breathed into Adam. And when I have formed him, and have breathed into him of my spirit, fall down to him in submission. Chapter 15, verse 29. Then when I have formed him, and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down to him in submission. Chapter 38, verse 72. It is sent by command of God to warn men. He sends down the angels with the spirit of his command upon whom he wills of his servants. Warn that there is no God save I, so be in prudent fear of me. Chapter 16, verse 2. And they ask thee about the Spirit. Say thou, The Spirit is by command of my Lord, and you have been given of knowledge only a little. Chapter 17, verse 85. And if we will take away what we instructed thee. Then wilt thou not find for thee therein against us a guardian. Chapter 17, verse 86. The raiser of degrees, the owner of the throne. He sends the spirit of his command upon whom he wills of his servants, that he might warn of the day of meeting. Chapter 40, verse 15. It brought down the Qur'an to Muhammad. Say thou, The Spirit of holiness brought it down from thy Lord aright, that it might strengthen those who heed warning, and as guidance, and glad tidings for the submitted. Chapter 16, verse 102. And it is a successive revelation of the Lord of all mankind, brought down by the faithful Spirit upon thy heart, that thou be among the warners. Chapter 26, verses 192 to 194. And it is for a mortal that God should speak to him only by instruction, or from behind a barrier, or send a messenger, and give instruction by his leave in what he wills. He is exalted, wise, and thus we instruct thee by a Spirit by our command. Thou knewest not what was the law, nor what was faith, but we made it a light whereby we guide whom we will of our servants, and thou guidest to a straight path. Chapter 42, verses 51 and 52. Your companion has not strayed, and has not erred, and he does not speak from vain desire. It is only an instruction given. There thought him one mighty in power, possessed of strength. He took his place when he was in the highest horizon. Then drew he near and descended. He was at 2 bows' length or nearer. Then he instructed his servant what he instructed. The heart lied not about what it saw. Will you then dispute with him about what he saw? And he saw him in another descent, by the low tree of the finality. Near it is the garden of habitation. When there covered the low tree that which covered, the vision did not deviate, and did not transgress. He has seen among the proofs of his Lord the greatest. Chapter 53, verses 2 through 18. It is the word of a noble messenger, possessor of power in the presence of the Lord of the throne, obeyed there, trustworthy. And your companion is not possessed, and he has seen him on the clear horizon, and he is not niggardly of the unseen. Chapter 81, verses 19 through 24. It was breathed into Maryam, and she begot Issa. And remember thou in the law Maryam, when she withdrew from her people to a place in the east, and separated herself from them, and we sent to her our Spirit, and it appeared to her as a sound mortal. She said, I seek refuge in the Almighty from thee, if thou be in prudent fear. He said, I am but a messenger of thy Lord, that I might give thee a pure lad. She said, how can there be for me a lad when a mortal has not touched me, nor have I been unchaste? He said, thus said thy Lord, it is easy for me, both that we might make him a proof for mankind, and as a mercy from us, and it was a matter ordained. Chapter 19, verses 16 through 21. And she who guarded her modesty, we breathed into her of our Spirit, and made her and her son a proof for all mankind. Chapter 21, verse 91. And Maryam, daughter of Imran, who guarded her modesty, we breathed into her of our Spirit, and she confirmed the words of her Lord and his laws, and she was of the devoutly dutiful. Chapter 66, verse 12. It is breathed into every man, who made good all things he created, and initiated the creation of man from clay, then made his seed from a strain of despised liquid, then fashioned him, and breathed into him of his Spirit, and made for you hearing, and sight, and intellect. Little are you grateful. Chapter 32, verses 7 through 9. It strengthens the believers. Thou wilt not find people who believe in God and the last day, loving those who work against God and his messenger, though they be their fathers, or their sons, or their brethren, or their kindred. These he has decreed faith in their hearts, and strengthened them with a Spirit from him, and makes them enter gardens beneath which rivers flow, they abiding eternally therein. God is pleased with them, and they pleased with him. These are the party of God. In truth, the party of God. They are the successful. Chapter 58, verse 22. It ascends and descends. The angels and the Spirit ascend to him during a day, the measure whereof is 50,000 years. Chapter 70, verse 4. The angels and the Spirit descend therein by the leave of their Lord, of every sort of affair. Chapter 97, verse 4. It will stand with the angels in ranks on the day of judgment. The day the Spirit and the angels stand in ranks, they speak not, save he whom the Almighty grants leave, and he says what is right. Chapter 78, verse 38. Whoever is an enemy to it, God is his enemy. Whoso is an enemy to God, and his angels, and his messengers, and Jibrail, and Mikael, God is an enemy to those who spurn guidance while claiming virtue. Chapter 2, verse 98. It is also referred to as Jibrail. If you repent to God, then have your hearts inclined. But if you help each other against him, God is his benefactor, and Jibrail, and the righteous of the believers, and the angels are helpers as well. Chapter 66, verse 4. This concludes my presentation of the Ruh in the Quran. As always, I urge you to read the Quran and ask God for guidance. We are all in need of His help and mercy. May God guide you to His straight path. Peace be upon you.